with another not drunk reaction. And today I'm drinking Fireball, as I often am. Could use a little more Fireball. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to take care of that. I'll be right back. And what I'm going to do today, I thought it'd be fun to go through TV tropes. The biggest reason why I was going was to see if I was right about the big lip alligator moment. Sadly, that's not there, and I don't have editing privileges, so I can't add it. I don't even know how one would add it. It's probably like Wikipedia. Like, you build up credit and trust over time. I don't have fucking time for all that shit. Point being, I went to check that out, but I was looking through all the tropes. And I got to the head scratcher section, and there were quite a few things in there I wanted to talk about. So basically, we're going to be talking about the head scratcher section of TV tropes for Ozark. And all of you should be checking out TV tropes anyway. You look up your favorite show, TV tropes. Just Google TV tropes in your favorite show, and it'll take you right to that article. And there's all kinds of interesting stuff there. A lot of the fridge logic and fridge horror and stuff I talk about on there. It's a very deep. You'll spend hours there. But yeah, there was a couple head scratches I wanted to talk about. So let me see if my drink's any better. Better. It's a tall glass, so I'm still getting used to the taller glasses. Okay, so let's get into the first one. Why doesn't Buddy just get a reverse mortgage instead of selling his house on the unusual stipulation they be allowed to live in the basement until he dies? Reverse mortgages were created for just this kind of thing. Elderly people who own their homes but can't afford their living expenses. He'd be able to continue living in his home without becoming the lodger of a bunch of strangers. And I found it very interesting because I wondered the same thing. I don't think that's something I vocalized. There's another one on here I absolutely did vocalize. But, and I think that there's a couple responses here. Now, not every head scratcher will have a response. It takes an extra person to come in, see the head scratcher, and then put the response on, right? But this is a good response. Check this out. Other than the same reason Hamlet didn't kill his uncle when he had the chance, there wouldn't have been a play. But he probably just didn't want to get hassled with all the paperwork. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I think the second one is probably a better answer. Also, it's likely he was looking for companionship, or at least a caretaker, in his last months. He didn't seem to need the money, and the condition he'd be able to stay seems more about human contact than money. I think that's exactly what it was. I think that's what it was. Now there is an interesting side effect to that, though. If I remember right, and it's been a few months since I've seen the pilot, not even the real estate agent thought that this house would ever sell with these conditions in it. So it's very possible he's like, well, if I get the right kind of family and I like these people, sure. Otherwise, fuck it. Because he probably did. Because how long were they there? I should probably look up an Ozark timeline at some point, to answer a question like that. I suspect it was like, before he died, I mean. How long were they there before he died? Probably 6 months, a year, probably 6 months, something like that. So he didn't have long left. And I think he even said he had less than a year. So I don't think that, I think it was more of a situation where, and I find myself in these situations lately where it's like, if option A happens, okay, that's cool. And if option B happens, okay, that's cool. Like, I'm not really rooting for either one. There's a couple ways something can go, and I'm kind of cool with it either way. I have found myself in those scenarios lately. Yeah, I think it just comes with age and maybe despair. Buddy was probably feeling both. So I think, he had on the market, if he got somebody who met his conditions and he liked people, because of course I'm sure he could refuse to sell it to somebody if he didn't like the family, right? So I think that, that's probably it's probably the answer. So that's a good one. Here's the one that goes into the point I made. I think I actually made both points, but let's read this one. Why did Helen continually put responsibility on the Snells on Marty? The Snells were impossible for Marty to handle on his own, and they were also working for the cartel. Plus, it would let the Snells know that the cartel wasn't playing around about strengthening their position. And then somebody added, this is my biggest pet peeve. In addition to the cartel not giving the birds any kind of manpower. Agreed. Like, that never made sense to me. It was never specified. And there's a lot of times I won't mention things that, don't make sense to me because I assume I missed something because, you have to talk in these reactions, right? and I'm trying to make jokes. I'm looking for the jokes and all that stuff. So I'm gonna miss shit. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of the beast, right? It's the cost of doing business. But I've seen reaction channels where they get hung up on some kind of fallacy or something they notice that's off, or like some piece of information that was stated in the episode, and we're all sitting here as an audience saying, "You fucking idiot! They said that, and you just missed it, right?" So I never want to be that kind of person. I never want to be the person where it's like, I missed something obvious, and I'm sitting there going on a 20-minute fucking rant. Like that's, then you look like an asshole. But now that there's an entry in TV Tropes, it makes me more confident in saying I think that this was an issue. I suspect it's because Marty is still on probation. He may still be in probation in season 4. He's definitely on probation for the first 3 seasons because of how the show started. He was in bed with a business partner who was a moron and was stealing money and shit. And so the cartel blamed him for that. He was just kind of on probation. So it's like maybe he had not as much rope. They expect him to fail, and maybe they were even kind of rooting for him to fail. And so, but if he could persevere despite all the roadblocks, some of their roadblocks and some just roadblocks over there, then he would be worth the effort of keeping alive. So that's my read on the situation. I'd be very curious what you guys think. Because this is an open question. I think the first comment on the first head scratcher is a closed question. I think we can put that to bed. You can still comment on it if you want to, but I think that's a closed question. This feels like a very open question to me. I'm not sure what the answer is. So I'd be very interested in what you guys think. And then that person who replied, went into it, they were like, the cartel not giving the birds any kind of manpower. In fact, how come the birds don't hire any personal muscle for their protection? Yeah, I pointed this out, and this is a major issue, I think. I think this is one of the few plot holes in the show. It doesn't make any sense. You have plenty of money at your disposal. They have plenty of personal money. They've been making money. They're making 1.5% or whatever it was, and they've been making that for months. So they have money. And, we're probably talking about $5,000 a day for good security per security member. I would have a team of 4, with the 4th being the leader who is coordinating the other 3. And at least 2 of whom would be living in my house. You know what I'm saying? And 2 would be in a nearby hotel somewhere, where they could be on call, and you could rotate them in and out, right? That would be what I would do. You could probably afford 6. 6 would be even better, I would have a team of minions. Ruth would definitely have a bodyguard with her at all times. He would be her driver. He would be, carrying these heavy sacks of money around. If nothing, there's so many situations. There are people who bring money from a bar to a bank, and the bank is 2 blocks away, and they're carrying this briefcase of money from the bar to the bank, and they have an undercover permit for the precise reason that they're carrying large sums of money. The government recognizes this is an issue. When you carry large sums of money, you need personal protection, a gun, a bodyguard, whatever. Now, obviously, the government doesn't sanction money laundering, but I'm just saying they understand. Anybody, even the stupid fucking government, recognizes when you carry large sums of money, you need fucking protection. It doesn't make any sense. I think the biggest reason is story. Half the things we saw in season 3 would not have transpired if they had personal security. Now, you could hand wave and you could say the cartel doesn't want to, but that doesn't make any sense. These people are valuable to them. And you can even have, they could be cartel guys, whereas you're not worried about this personal security interfering if you want to kidnap Marty and take him down to Mexico, right? So maybe, but they need security. If it's not going to be out of their own pocket, then you need to furnish security, one or the other. Plus, it'd be a great way to keep an eye on them, real much closer than Helen was doing, right? It doesn't make any sense. I think it's just story reasons. Honestly, the story we saw couldn't have happened if they'd had personal security. So, that's why. But as a writer, that shit bugs me, man. I'm saying if it was my project, I would have to find a reason for this. Or I would have to find a way to take them out, So, I think that's a major... There's so few flaws in the show. You can find flaws in Breaking Bad, which I think is almost nearly a perfect TV show. You can find flaws in it. You can find flaws in this, which I think is almost as good as Breaking Bad. It's just from... we're talking perfection scale here. We're talking perfection, okay? You can find flaws in some of these shows. So, this is a flaw. I'd be interested if anybody has an opposing viewpoint, if they can explain, if they can, hand wave it, what they call fan wank, that's a TV trope term. If you can fan wank it, just wank on the message, on the comments, and just tell me like how you could explain it, like with what we've been presented on the screen. Yeah, the information we've been provided in the 3 seasons. If there's something there that you can turn into an explanation, that would be interesting. And then I just wanted to add this one last question here. Why can't Marty and his family go into witness protection? Because they're not fucking idiots. They're also not fucking stitches. Nah, man. And also story reasons. Like if they went into witness protection, the show's over. So there we go. it's as simple as that, right? But that's a boring answer. So I'm gonna say they just, first of all, the FBI, they're assholes. Like, look at the people. It was even mentioned this season. Look at the people they've been dealing with from the FBI. Why would you trust these people? I wouldn't trust them. You shouldn't trust them. They get people killed. They don't give a shit. Like, the second you agree to do that, you got a death warrant on you. So do you really trust them? Like, I don't. I wouldn't do that. And also, I think that there's another answer here, which we've never really delved into on the show or in my commentary of the show, is that Marty likes money laundering. Now, he's never said he likes it, but I think this is another analog with Walter White. At the end of the day, Walter White loved cooking. I think Marty loves the money laundering. He loves the nuts and bolts. He doesn't love all the drama. He doesn't love his family falling apart. He doesn't love the constant threat of death. But him sitting in an office, playing with numbers, he fucking loves that shit. And I think that's a little unspoken thing in the show that we're probably going to explore in the final season. But I think he loves it. So, I think that's part of it. So, yeah, that was a little trip through TV Tropes. I love that website. I'm probably going to do it for more of these shows. And, Ozark's over. I miss it. So I just wanted to talk about it at least one more time.